Will the House come to order? Mr. Clerk.
Aloha and good morning. Today's invocation will be delivered by Vice Speaker Gregor Iligan. Will the members who wish to participate please rise?
Please remain seated. Honorable members, esteemed guests, and the great people of our state, let us join our hearts and minds in the spirit of a promising year for 2024. May we reflect on the timeless virtues of trust, compassion, and leadership, principles guiding our policymaking and our everyday lives. Firstly, trust, the cornerstone of all our relationships, hard to earn and easy to break. Ginny is a constituent of mine who said, "Gregor, I trust you. Now go represent us at the Capitol." It is an honor to return and report back to our 12 town halls to say to Jenny, we did it. We passed our bill. But there was a time when I told Ginny, sorry, I failed. Ginny smiled and said, I trust you will do your best next time. May this year deepen our trust in each other, our institutions, and the democratic processes that uphold our great state. Let trust be the foundation upon which we build a year of progress, understanding, and mutual respect. Compassion, the essence of our humanity, calls us to look beyond ourselves and recognize the struggles and hopes of others. My girlfriend Nikki bought a warm blanket from Savers because of an unsheltered person who was shivering and cold on the street. When Nikki gave that blanket to her, she violently told Nikki, "No, get away." Now I own that blanket, and every time I fold it, I am reminded of Nikki and her compassion. May this year be marked by our collective empathy, where we acknowledge the challenges faced by our constituents and act with kindness and understanding to uplift one another. Leadership, a mantle we all bear in various capacities, asks us to lead with trust and compassion. Kapono is a young leader in my community who doesn't know how to say no and volunteers so much of his time. He never sees himself as a leader because he serves everyone. Yeah, I follow his lead on the community issues because he listens and cares. He leads by service and doesn't even know how much of a leader he is. May this year inspire each of us to embrace our roles as leaders, to guide with wisdom, and to make just, fair, and forward-thinking decisions, benefiting not just the present, but generations to come. Happy New Year, everyone. As we enter 2024, let us renew our commitment to trust, compassion, and leadership. Let us do good work together and live the principles that defines us as lawmakers. Amen.
Thank you, Representative Iligan. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Ayu, Mr. Alcos, Ms. Amato, Ms. Bellotti, Mr. Chun, Ms. Cochran, Mr. Evslin, Mr. Ganadin, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Garrett, Mr. Gates, Mr. Hashem, Mr. Holt, Ms. Hussey Burdick, Ms. Ichiyama, Mr. Iligan, Ms. Kahaloa, Ms. Capella, Mr. Kila, Ms. Kitagawa, Mr. Kobayashi, Mr. Kong, Ms. Lachika, Ms. Lamosau, Ms. Lowen, Ms. Martin, Ms. Martinez, Mr. Matayoshi, Ms. Matsumoto, Ms. Morikawa, Ms. Nakamura, Mr. Nakashima, Mr. Nishimoto, Mr. Onishi, Ms. Peruso, Mr. Pirik, Ms. Poepoe, Mr. Quinlan, Mr. Sayama, Ms. Souza, Mr. Takayama, Ms. Takenouchi, Mr. Tam, Mr. Tarnas, Mr. Todd, Mr. Ward, Mr. Woodson, Mr. Yamashita, Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, 49 members are present.
All right, members, the chair would like to introduce two special guests today. First, please welcome Governor Josh Green. And second, please welcome Chief Justice Mark Rechtenwald. All right, members, we're on item 2. Mr. Clerk, are there any messages from the governor?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of Governor's Message Number 1, transmitting a report previously requested. We are in further receipt of Governor's Message Number 2, informing the House that certain budget documents have been made electronically available to the legislature. May these matters be received and filed.
So ordered. Mr. Clerk, are there additional messages from the governor?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we are in receipt of message numbers 502 and 503, appointing Tyson Miyake to the 10th House District and May Mizuno to the 29th House District. May these messages be received for immediate action.
So ordered. Governor, do you have any other messages for us? Oh, I'm just joking. All right, members, will the Sergeant at Arms please escort Mr. Miyake and Mrs. Mizuno to the rostrum for the oath of office? Chief Justice, could you please proceed with the oath of office?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Aloha. It's an honor to be here today to administer the oath of office to the newest members of the House of Representatives, Tyson Miyake and May Mizuno. Will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Hawaii, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a member of the House of Representatives of the State of Hawaii to the best of my ability. Congratulations to you both. Representative. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief Justice Rechtenwald. And here to support Representative Miyake this morning are his parents, David and Irene Miyake. Welcome to the House. And here to support Representative Mizuno are her husband, John Mizuno, and brother, Clint Basario. Vice Speaker Iligan and Majority Leader Nakamura, could you please present the new representatives with lei? Mr. Clerk, are there further messages from the governor?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
All right, members, we're on item 3, Senate communications. Mr. Clerk, are there any Senate communications?
Mr. Speaker, there are none.
Members, are there any introductions? Representative
Mr.
Kobayashi.
Speaker,
Representative Kobayashi.
with your permission, I'd like to step forward to introduce special guests from Fukuoka. Mr. Speaker, on your behalf, it is an honor to introduce prefectural legislators from Fukuoka, Hawaii's first sister state or sister prefecture, beginning in 1981. These Fukuoka prefectural members have come to Hawaii more often than any other delegation from any other sister state or sister prefecture. It is a great honor to introduce the chairman of the Fukuoka Prefectural Legislature, Koharu Katsuchi. Would you please? Assembly Member Matsuo Tosho. Assembly Member Nishimoto Ken. Assembly Member Inoue Hiroyuki. Assembly Member Egawa Toshihiko. And we also have members of the staff of the Prefectural Assembly Secretariat, Mr. Yamano, Matsumoto Atsuko, and from Hawaii, Ariyoshi Chikage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Yamashita.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. At this time, we'd like to welcome, you know what, if I miss some of you, there are people visiting from Maui here today, and you know, some of my colleagues from Maui may introduce you individually, but at this time, I'd like them to stand and be recognized. Everybody from Maui. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That was the faster way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Ayu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Two introductions or groups of people I'd like to introduce today. We have some students from my alma mater, Kamehameha Schools. Can you please hold your applause so I introduce all of you? Addis Belay, Jason Cheers, Aiston Iona, Elijah Moniz, Paris Kekuna, Kapua Vanderpool, Timoteo Asene, Kirsten Navarro, Julia Iona, Kirian Lynn Carrero, Ethan Abraham, Angelina Star Wu, Mahea Briones, Kalamakahi Crab, and their two advisors, Kapua Reeves and Lynn Richards. Welcome to your House of Representatives. And Mr. Speaker, I have one more introduction this morning. I believe UPW State Director, my constituents in the audience, Kalani Warner, if you're here, could you please stand and be recognized? Welcome to your House of Representatives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Matsumoto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my honor and privilege to also recognize some wonderful students from Mililani High School. They are from ASMHS. They are officers within their school, which is great because Mililani also just won the inaugural Hawaii School of Democracy. So I'd like to introduce, if you can hold your applause to the end, Jaden Kesey, Dorian Kim, Maya McEwen, Verity Wayne, Cruz Sagaisai. We also have their advisors. We have Ms. Castro and Mrs. Ward. If we can welcome them to their House of Representatives.
Representative Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. What a pleasure to be here today. I would like to recognize my South Maui counterpart, Councilmember Tom Cook. Please stand to be recognized, and welcome to your House of Representatives. Well, good morning, sir.
Representative Prusso.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize Mr. Tui Scanlon with IATSE. If you could please stand and be recognized. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Are there additional introductions? Representative Souza.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery, I see Hina Wong, a well-respected Native Hawaiian community leader. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Aloha.
Representative Kila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following that introduction as well, I'd like to recognize the CEO for the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, Joseph Kuhio Lewis, and Nick Carroll from CNHA. Please rise.
Representative Quinlan.
Thank you, Mr. Oh, gosh. All right, one more time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It appears we have a number of CEOs in the audience today. Today we have with us Daniel Nahol, PE, CEO of HTA. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Kahaloa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Another brief introduction. Representing the Mayor's Office for the County of Hawaii, and his first visit to opening day is Douglas Adams, Director of the R&D Department. And if there are any council members from the County of Hawaii, please also stand, or others from Hawaii Island. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative LaChica.
Mahalo, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery are several constituent members. I don't know if they're here, as well as guests. I would like to call in your names. Please stand, and then please hold your applause till the end. Sandy Ordonez, Lynn Robinson, Lourdes Vergara Marcelo, IBEW President Damian Kim, Wayne Ogata, Alice Liu, and Theresa Paulette. And finally, my husband, Christopher LaChica. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to welcome Councilmember Tamara Pelton, representing West Maui, in the gallery today. Please stand to be recognized. Aloha, Tamara. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Joe Ritter, my Chief of Staff, and Dr. Joe Ritter, my Chief of Staff in the audience. Welcome to your House of Representatives on this opening day. Mahalo.
Representative Evslin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to recognize, I believe they're up there somewhere, all 7 Kauai County Council members, my former colleagues from Kauai. Council Chair Raposo, Council Vice Chair Kuali'i, Councilmember Bulosan, Councilmember Kuali'i, Councilmember Cowden, Councilmember DeCosta, and Councilmember Kagawa. Those of you who are over here, if you could please rise. I'd also like to recognize my family, my parents, Bill and Mickey Evslin, my wife, Soche, and my 2 children, Finley and Levi. You guys, please rise. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all know that this is going to be a very Maui-centric session. We would be amiss to not acknowledge the donors, particularly a foundation, particularly Micah Kani and the Hawaii Community Foundation. Micah, stand up. We thank you for being part of our budget process.
Representative Tam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the audience today is my father, David Tam. He's standing over there, so he's already rising. But thank you and welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Miyake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce my family and friends from Maui visiting here today. Please stand to be recognized. Welcome to the House of Representatives.
Representative Mizuno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. I would like to introduce my family and friends in the gallery. Miss Esther Domingo, Miss Vina Morales, my mom, Josephine Bisario, my staff, Haruna Koshikawa, my grandchild, Gigi Bisario, and I see Mr. Hakim there too, and Miss Lorna Strand, Oahu Democratic Party Chair. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Are there additional introductions? Representative Cochran.
Mahalo. And I just want to follow up. Thank you, Representative Yamashita, for announcing all the Maui County. If there's anyone, especially from the Lahaina Strong, following up on Rep. Ward's comments as to the nonprofits and community groups that gave, during the fire and continuously. If you're in the House, please stand and welcome to your House of Representatives.
Representative Hussey Burdick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think there's just a few people left in the audience who haven't been recognized yet. I have a couple. So first, my mother, lifelong environmental and women's rights advocate Ramona Hussey, her sister Natoka Hussey, who's visiting us from Pennsylvania, the Secretary of the Democratic Party of Hawaii, Bixby Ho, Chair of the Oahu County Committee, Lorna Strand, UH Political Science Lecturer Joshua Cooper, Program Manager of Common Cause Hawaii, Cameron Hurt. I just saw him walk in somewhere. And Women's Rights Advocate, Becky Gardner. Thank you for being here. Welcome to your House of Representatives.
Are there additional introductions? Okay, members, if not, the chair will call a brief recess to allow the members to congratulate Representatives Miyake and Mizuno. Recess.
of the House, please be seated.
All right, will the House come to order? Members, before we begin, we have an introduction. Behind me is the Director of Name Changes and Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke. We also have a couple of late intros. Representative Lowen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today, we have former State Representative Denny Kaufman. Please stand. And his wife as well. And he used to represent Kailua Kona, also my former boss. Welcome back to your House of Representatives.
Representative Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery today, we have three of East Hawaii's finest. We have Hawaii County Prosecuting Attorney Keldon Walchen and Executive Aide Alan Bartolome. And we also have Councilmember Ashley Kirkowitz, definitely three of the hardest working folks on the Big Island, and welcome to your House of Representatives.
All right, members, we have a few bills and resolutions to vote on. So item 4, introduction of bills, Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that all bills laying on the clerk's desk pass first reading by title and be referred to print.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. Item 5, Mr. Clerk, are there any resolutions for action?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, House Concurrent Resolution Number 1, relating to recess days for the regular session of 2024. This resolution is offered by you, Mr. Speaker, and Vice Speaker Iligan.
Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt House Concurrent Resolution Number 1.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. Mr. Clerk, is there another resolution for action?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, House Concurrent Resolution Number 2, requesting the Governor to address the legislature assembled in joint session. This concurrent resolution is offered by you, Mr. Speaker, and Vice Speaker Iligan.
Representative Nakamura.
Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt House Concurrent Resolution Number 2.
Representative Matsumoto.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. Mr. Clerk, are there additional resolutions for action?
Mr. Speaker, there are no further resolutions for action. May all others be referred to print.
So ordered. All right, members, we have some opening day speeches, and the chair will start off with hopefully a 7-minute speech. So good morning, aloha, and Happy New Year. I'd like to begin by welcoming and introducing our two newest House members, Representative Miyake and Representative Mizuno. So Representative Tyson Miyake from District 10 previously served as the Chief of Staff and Deputy County Managing with the Maui of County. He brings with him a fresh perspective and county-level experience, which will be invaluable as he works alongside the Maui delegation to deliver much-needed relief and leadership to Maui in the upcoming session. So Representative Miyake, I didn't know this, but he's actually a trained linguist, and he is fluent in 6 languages. Congratulations. And next we have Representative May Mizuno, District 29. So Representative Mizuno has deep roots in her community as well as here at the state capitol, working alongside her husband, former Representative John Mizuno. Representative Mizuno is a dedicated member of the Kalihi Valley Neighborhood Board number 16, and her dedication to her constituents will continue in her role as a member of the House. So I didn't know this about Representative Mizuno, but she is a skilled outdoors person, and recently she was in Alaska where she successfully reeled in a 157-pound halibut, which is kind of the same weight and size of her husband, John. Fortunately, only the fish went to the taxidermist. So with both Representative Miyake and Representative Mizuno here, we have a modern historical composition of 20 House freshman members. So congratulations to all of the freshmen. So the third Wednesday in January is close enough that we can, at the beginning of every legislative session, say Happy New Year and mean it. It positions us to both reflect on the previous year and to be thoughtful about what we are resolved to do now and in the future. This year, we begin somberly with gratitude and determination. It has been 162 days since the Maui wildfires, and the shock waves have not yet subsided. To quote Archie Kalepa, Lahaina is bearing the burden, and all of Hawaii is feeling the pain. We are thankful and indebted to the many people who were indeed the very first responders, whether that was their job or not, and continue to this day to listen to, provide for, and advocate. We have a few of those individuals here today. Members, could you please join me in greeting first Ms. Shishido, who's representing Mayor Rick Bisson. And community members of the Lahaina Advisory Team, Lori Le DeGama, Rick Nava, and Archie Kalepa. There are 3 additional members of the advisory team who are unable to attend today, and they are Kaliko Storer, Kim Ball, and Nestor Ugale. So this advisory committee will envision the future of Lahaina, and in many respects, the future of our entire state. As we acknowledge these individuals and the communities they belong to, we are brought to an essential question. As Lahaina continues to bear the burden and all of Hawaii continues to feel the pain, what will we do about it? History provides lessons. 105 years ago in 1919, another large-scale fire devastated Lahaina. No lives were lost. The town was mostly built on the same footprint with a few infrastructure improvements, mostly led by individual property owners who had the means to do so. We could follow this model, modernizing it a bit, and in doing so, perhaps resetting the clock for another more horrific disaster a century from now, or with climate change much sooner. More than 250 years ago, Native Hawaiians figured out how to manage their needs in relationship to place. There are no entries in the Wehewehe Hawaiian online dictionary for the word sustainable, let alone self-sustaining. But that is exactly how decisions were made, food cultivated, population distributed, natural resources managed. They had to have a circular economy because, as far as they knew, they were the only people. And as it turned out, many of the folks who came to the islands over the centuries were Pacific people with similar values. There are now many people and many interests outside of Hawaii who make decisions independently that profoundly impact us. We have encouraged and become more dependent on economies that deplete our resources. The many conflicts in the world affect us, even if they are far away. And the acceleration of climate change alters every place and all things. None of this means we don't have agency over our future. It means we must exercise agency and not let things drift or compromise the present at the expense of the future. One of the things that I'm proud of is the work that this House engaged in since we adjourned since Sani died 8 months ago. The House had planned an interim agenda that was appropriately and abruptly changed in August. But throughout, the House worked, asked hard questions, and pursued better solutions. The House brought meaning to the need for us to work beyond our own members and engage with people in our community. Two of these efforts in particular will help guide not only legislation, but also how we think about these issues. The first is the working groups for Maui, food, water, and other supplies, shelter, environmental remediation, jobs and business, schools, and wildfire prevention. These are issues laid bare by the Maui fires, but they also have application in many other places across the state. Thank you to our co-chairs, Representatives Gregor Ilagan, Therese Amato, Luke Evslin, Nicole Lowen, Ellie Cochran, Daniel Holt, Andrew Garrett, Justin Woodson, Jenna Takanuichi, Linda Ichiyama, and Darius Kila. And thank you to all of the House members who served as working group members and who participated in this comprehensive work. The second interim effort focused on water. Thanks to Chair Linda Ichiyama, Chair Nicole Lowen, and Senator Jarrett Kihokalole, the legislature worked with state agencies, the Board of Water Supply, City Council, the Governor, and Mayor Blangiardi in an unprecedented multiple jurisdiction effort. The Red Hill VI, which means Water Alliance Initiative, report charts a proactive course of remediation so that decades and perhaps even a century from now, future residents aren't poisoned by the nearly 2 million gallons of fuel in the ground that is slowly making its way to the water table. This work on the Lahaina wildfire, water, and many other topics aren't just interrogations of issues. We are fundamentally asserting that not only do we have agency and the responsibility to act, we are also questioning the how and the why and for whom. This, I think, is part of what Kumu Hina Wong told me recently. She said she would like to have all of us center Hawaii. Members, to center Hawaii is to center values that make sense for island communities and for our responsibilities as stewards of the public trust. We will need to remind ourselves of these values frequently, especially in a time of urgent decisions and uncertain economic prospects. I've been pondering what it means for us as legislators to center Hawaii. Is it to put the present and future well-being of this unique place and the people of this place at the center of our actions and decisions? It would mean, for example, to say that among the many needs and wants presenting themselves in the wake of the fires, that the needs and the well-being of local people of Maui and the residents of Lahaina come first. To center Hawaii would require us to acknowledge that land is no longer the limiting factor of what we do. Because if we don't center the well-being of our water as a fundamental public trust responsibility, all of our affordable housing and economic development and even our conservation efforts won't matter. And centering Hawaii is to center aloha and the working principles of aloha, as did many in the days and weeks following the Great Fire. Some of us are newer to this chamber, and some of us are veterans. However short or long our tenure, our responsibilities take on even greater consequence if we are to not only represent the districts we are individually elected from, not only the state as a whole, but also to center Hawaii and truly be the stewards in the public's trust now and for the future. I would urge all of us to internalize the lessons of the wildfire, of the threatened water, of the pain and courage and aloha of our fellow residents in the face of unprecedented challenges. Hawaii requires much of us, and we can, together, do our part. Thank you very much. Representative Matsumoto for the Republican remarks.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Majority Leader Nakamura, friends, colleagues, and members of the public, good morning and aloha. This year, I had the honor to be part of the Rodell Fellowship, a group that brings together 12 Democrats and 12 Republicans from across the country, creating a cohort with the purpose of learning how to lead despite our differences. One of the takeaways from our conversations was that our nation and our states continue to be more polarized on many issues, but more importantly, how we conduct our state's business is often also divisive. We can do better. I encourage my fellow House members to rise above the noise. It is our job as legislators to model what civil discourse looks like. If we cannot discuss difficult issues with decency and respect in this chamber, how do we expect it to happen in our communities? That doesn't mean that we always have to agree, and actually we shouldn't, but it means that we're willing to truly listen and hear what our colleagues, the departments, advocates, and what our communities have to say. I believe Hawaii and our House can lead the way. Mr. Speaker, as you mentioned in your speech, this year our state was rocked by the horrific tragedy in Maui. The crisis should not be a partisan issue or even a political issue. I respect your leadership and commitment to the state of Hawaii, and I appreciate that when we met about Maui, you agreed to create these 6 bipartisan working groups and began addressing the needs of the many residents in Maui that were affected. And I am proud that we took it a step further, and for the first time in the history of Hawaii, we have a bipartisan bill package, and we will be supporting the residents of Maui with these 12 bills to start. The Republican caucus visited Maui together to see firsthand the important issues that we need to address this year. We met with relief groups, with business owners, schools, and residents who lost their homes. My hope is this bipartisan legislation will send a clear message to the residents of Maui that we are putting their needs over politics. Additionally, this past year, the Republican caucus worked together and for the very first time hosted a series of live events called the Listening Tour, where our caucus went to 4 locations on Oahu, Kaneohe, Mililani, Hawaii Kai, and Kapolei, and listened to the needs and concerns of the community members. And we look forward to the possibility of expanding that to neighbor islands in the future. The Listening Tour flipped the script on the traditional town hall. It was a community-led forum where we had an interactive survey that tracked and displayed different issues as they were raised. It allowed our caucus to shape our bill package with the data that we got back from these meetings. Our Republican caucus came away with a better understanding of the priorities of the people in Hawaii, and that information has allowed us to respond with action. The primary concerns brought up in these meetings included cost of living, housing, crime, Hawaiian homes, and government transparency. I would like to take the time to thank our House Minority Research Office and all of the caucus staff for the hard work that they put into making this tour happen. The 2024 Republican caucus package was created for the Hawaii we know and love, our Hawaii. So our legislation focuses on 6 main priorities. First, we need to keep our kama'aina home, with legislation that will make it more affordable for residents to stay on islands and thrive. We're focused on bills to eliminate the income tax, create an exemption for food and medical services, and also to provide greater opportunities for families to start saving for a home that they can call their own. Second, we need to grow our job market to create more high-paying jobs and more economic opportunities for residents. These bills grow our job market by making Hawaii a friendlier place to start a business, preparing our students for the real world with job experience, and injecting new life into our very important film industry. Third, we need to strengthen our ohana. Hawaii family values are woven into the culture of our state. These bills give greater access to paid family leave, ensure parents know what's happening with their children, and create local school boards for education to be more in tune with the community's specific needs. Fourth, we need to invest in our homelands. We need to truly make the needs of Native Hawaiian families a priority. These bills will financially empower Hawaiians by making Hawaiian home land leases eligible for federal lending programs, designate Hawaiian homelands as state enterprise zones, and uphold the constitutional obligation to allocate revenue for OHA. Fifth, we need to protect our communities. Everyone should feel safe in their communities. This bill addresses rising crime with harsher penalties for organized theft, empower citizens with the right to protect themselves, and ensure access to treatment for Hawaii's most vulnerable population. Finally, sixth, we need to improve our government. Our state needs greater accountability and transparency. These bills impose checks and balances on emergency powers, demand greater election integrity, and tackle government corruption through term limits. With such pressing needs for Maui, and for that matter, every island in our state, it is imperative that we lead with both kindness and respect. Let's be mindful how we interact with each other in this building and out in public. If we are truly able to rise above polarization and the noise, I know we can accomplish much for this session and for our entire state. Mahalo.
Thank you. Representative Nakamura.
On behalf of the Majority Caucus, Mr. Speaker, we only have one question to ask you. When we left this chamber at the end of last session, did you really mean it when you told us to have a great interim? Yes, we returned to our island homes, we spent time with family and friends, we re-engaged with our communities, worked on critical projects, and helped our constituents navigate the state bureaucracy. In between all of this, you pressed us to closely monitor the defueling of Red Hill fuel tanks and remediation efforts, and monitor the $600 million in funds to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. You also encouraged us to get out and about. We learned about Waipahu High School's incredible career pathway, curriculum, and on and off campus learning opportunities. We drove and walked through Maka'ala Natural Area Reserve above Hilo to learn about native ecosystem restoration efforts. We visited prisons and jails to see firsthand the poor physical conditions of our facilities, personnel challenges, and need for rehab programs. We saw destination management and regenerative tourism at work in Ha'ina State Park. We drove and walked through the Lahaina burn zone to fully understand the magnitude of the wildfire devastation and the critical work ahead. These are just a few highlights of the many site visits that we made during the interim. What gives us so much hope is the commitment of state and county employees and community leaders who told us their stories, shared their dreams and vision, and explained their challenges and opportunities. We are all better legislators for this. But Mr. Speaker, going back to the first question, did you really mean it when you told us to have a great interim? Because after the Maui wildfire, you created not one or two, but 6 bipartisan working groups to address concerns and to answer 2 critical questions. What can we learn from the Maui wildfires? And how can we prepare ourselves for future disasters? The Wildfire Prevention Working Group prioritized bills to fund DLNR's wildfire prevention and response, increase fines for fire protection law violations, and establish the Office of State Fire Marshal. We are the only state in the nation that doesn't have one. The Environmental Remediation Working Group proposed bills to fund long-term air and water quality monitoring for communities directly impacted by the Maui wildfires. What happens when the disproportionate number of homes are vacation rentals instead of housing local residents? The Shelter Working Group proposed a bill to phase out non-conforming short-term vacation rentals by closing this current omission in state law and giving counties the explicit authority to do so. The Food, Water, and Supplies Working Group proposed bills mandating a comprehensive distribution plan and allowing pharmacists to provide medication to patients without interruption during emergencies. The Schools Working Group proposed a bill requiring DOE schools to have a comprehensive school evacuation plan that includes wildfires and a communication plan for use during these emergencies. And how do we create a pipeline of skilled workers in the construction industry to build the needed housing on Maui? The Jobs and Employment Working Group proposed funding the University of Hawaii Maui College to hire adjunct faculty positions to meet this immediate need. Mr. Speaker, we would be remiss in not acknowledging the incredible work of our House Majority Research Office, led by Casey Hines, for meeting the very tight deadlines that you set to get reports written and bills drafted. And our communications office, led by Kathy Lee, who kept the public and informed the public every step of the way. Mahalo, Casey, and Kathy. Then, in addition to the bipartisan wildfire package, Mr. Speaker, you were determined to have a majority package of bills. I would personally like to thank the 23 members of the Policy Committee who worked during the interim to identify key areas of concern, listen to experts, and identify bills that will lay critical foundations for a stronger Hawaii. The majority package addresses affordable housing and homelessness head-on by providing funding for affordable rental housing for a group that has been largely ignored, our working families. The package also includes a bill to increase the base budget for homelessness programs that have not been increased for the past 10 years while needs have continued to escalate. Mahalo to Health and Homelessness Chair Della Albalati for your work on this bill. Mental health is top of mind, and creating an associate-level licensure process with insurance reimbursements for marriage and family therapists, mental health counselors, and psychologists, and establishing a 24-hour behavioral health crisis center pilot program will help increase access to mental health services. Mahalo to Representative Corey Chun and Health Chair Belatti for working on these two bills. The most cost-effective way to meet our renewable energy and decarbonization goals is through energy efficiency. Extending the state's energy efficiency portfolio standards from 2030 to 2045 and requiring all future state buildings parking to be 25% electric vehicle charger ready will help the state lead by example. Mahalo to Energy and Environmental Protection Chair Nicole Lowen for championing these two bills. With a shortage of 4,000 healthcare workers in the state, we need to support current healthcare workforce program development programs that are working. Funding the public high school healthcare workforce certificate and glide path programs, and giving Windward Community College the resources to train mental health care workers will help our healthcare workforce throughout the state. Mahalo to Healthcare Association of Hawaii and our new Human Resources Chair, Lisa Martin, for crafting these bills. Finally, with the state government employee vacancy rate of 23% and the 3 to 6 months it takes to conduct a minimum qualification review, we include in the majority package a bill authorizing state departments, divisions, and agencies to conduct this review on their own. Mahalo to Labor and Government Operations Chair Scott Matayoshi for your work on and advocacy for this bill. So going back to the original question, Mr. Speaker, as we received your phone calls directing this and that during our family vacations, zoomed into meetings from mainland conferences, and spent holidays working on these bills, did you mean it to have a great interim? Because, Mr. Speaker, quite frankly, you worked us. But we know that our hard work over the interim will create a more resilient Hawaii, address pressing problems, and help Hawaii's residents thrive. At the end of the day, we thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your leadership in galvanizing us, seizing the moment, and producing some solid bills for the people of Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody had a great interim. So members are on item 6, announcements. Before announcements, Chair would like to make a couple of late introductions. So first we have the Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, Mayor Rick Blangiardi. And we have our Adjutant General, Kenneth Hara. All right, members, are there any announcements? Okay, if not, for the motion to adjourn, Representative Morikawa.
Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 12 o'clock noon tomorrow.
Representative Garcia.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The motion is carried. The House stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.